Good. All right.
All right, what's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for coming out tonight. We have an interesting question from a viewer who wanted to ask us a question about why would a weekend trip end in rejection? So that's an interesting title. So we're going to dive in on this lady's question, point out some red flags, and just talk about her experience. And because it's very common, this is a very common thing. You all will see, and and give you all some pointers, tips, and how to prevent these type of things that are happening to women, and then also men as well. You know, you all can also see the red flags in this situation, and if these are things that you all are doing, you should definitely stop. But let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay. Let me pull this up. All right. So the subject was that she wrote was why someone would do this. Message body. I'm excuse me. I met a guy. We both are in our 30s in another city when I was visiting my friend. It was her friend we met in the street. They said hi, and I told my friend that I find him attractive. So she set us up on a date. We had a great date, spending 5 hours talking over one drink and then walking around the city and eating a late night snack. The next day, we met together with our mutual friend to see a film, and then I went home with him. We kissed and slept together. Before sleeping, he was very keen to talk about what we would do now, whether we would visit each other soon. I told him I hadn't thought so far, but that would be nice. The next morning, we had a long breakfast and talked about mutual interest, and he walked me to my friend's house as I had to get to my flight. When we said goodbye, I said it would be nice to see him again, and he texted me some days after about calling and finding a date when he could visit. He came to visit me 2.5 weeks later for 3 days, and we had a really good time. We went sightseeing, cycling, made dinner together, went swimming in the sea, talked over coffee, did a day trip. Basically, it felt really good. He also did nice gestures like putting his arm around me when we walked and we had little tickle fights. He gave me a massage, paid for dinner, and had also brought me a small culinary gift. We did have a small problem. I got sad and told him because sometimes when he asked me about myself, he didn't seem to listen properly and had a habit of speaking his mind before I could finish my thoughts or interpret the things I was disclosing to him rather than asking deeper into me. We talked about it, and he did admit that maybe he speaks too much, but I could tell that maybe this would be a bit of a problem between us. On his last night here, I felt a bit sad that he was leaving the next day, and also a bit surprised that he hadn't brought anything up, since he was so keen to talk about it the first time I met him. I told him that it was sad that he was leaving tomorrow, and I could tell that he didn't really want to talk about it. All he said was that it was had been a nice weekend. I gave it a lot of time, but all he did was to be silent. At some point I couldn't help myself, but I cried a bit because of how cold I felt he was about the situation. And then I asked him if he could just say something. This annoyed him a bit, and he asked me why I wanted him to say what I wanted him to say. And I said that I just wanted to hear what was on his mind. And he said that he is sorry, but he doesn't know what to say. So we fell asleep, and I could barely sleep all night. I just felt a terrible, sad feeling in my body. The next morning, I had to go early to work, and he got my spare keys so he could lock himself out and go to the airport. Before leaving, I told him that I felt hurt that he had not said anything the night before, and he said, sorry, and he said the same thing, that he is sorry, but he is confused and doesn't know what to say. Then I couldn't help but cry, and he asked me what I was feeling, and I told him that objectively, I could see that maybe our conversation styles are not a perfect match, but that because we had been so affectionate with each other, that my body felt sad and that it would be nice to meet somebody I can love. Then he got really tender and said that I have a good heart and just hugged me. Then I had to leave to work. When I came back, eh, he in the end the afternoon he had left me a long note telling me lots of positive things, even that it felt right and that he had been comfortable in my company, but that he cannot deal with the distance between our lives and can't see it going beyond this weekend. He said that maybe he will feel differently after a couple of days, but that this is how he feels right now. So my thoughts are, why didn't he tell me this before he came to visit me? That the distance between us meant that he could not see this going anywhere. I am guessing that he knew the distance, knew how long it would take to travel to see me, etc., and he suggested to visit me in the first place. I guess I just feel like that if he had been open about this before he came, I could have made an informed choice about whether I wanted him to visit me in the first place or how much to open up and let him in to avoid heartbreak. Any thoughts? I just feel a little bit like he played me, even though he really is genuinely a warm, kind, and considerate person. The fact that he rejected me because of a variable that was obvious from the beginning makes me angry.
Oh man, I don't mean to laugh, but this is classic. That brother is he's a player from the Himalayas.
She broke it down for us though. So this is, but seeing that you said this is classic, this is a great question because she kind of in a way divulged how something like this could happen to a woman.
Women, oh yeah, and
Yeah.
young women, older women who don't understand the game of being played. She picked it up at the end, and she realized that. But
Yeah.
the um, should we dissect it then resolve it? Because I
I
have a
think we
good
can do both
resolution.
together. I can, yeah, dissect and resolve
Because
as
I
we
have a
go
good
along.
summary and resolution to all of this at the end.
That's good. So stick
Um,
around to the end for sure.
right. So with that being said, we can go through and dissect it together and see, point out the red flags. I met a guy. We both are in our 30s in another city. When so okay, long distance relationship.
hmm It was her
Friend,
friend, her friend's friend.
yeah,
Okay.
friend. It was her friend. We met in the street.
hmm
They said hi. Okay. So we set up a date.
Oh, okay. So this all happened within that weekend that she was there visiting her
Her
friend,
friend, yeah, and her
that
friend,
she first met him, or at least the first date.
right, and saw him in the street.
So they had a great date, spending 5 hours talking over one drink. Now I'm curious though, you spent 5 hours talking. What did you talk
Talk
about?
about right. Um, when you are in these type of situations, when you first meet somebody and you're serious about being a husband or a wife one day, people don't waste other people's time. Um, it is okay to let other people know that one day you want to get married, and the
Mm-hmm.
intentions on me dating anybody is the hope that one day getting married.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe and I understand that had she laid that out to him in the beginning, this 5 hour date, things probably would have been a lot different,
Yeah, this is where it
a
all
whole
started.
lot different.
Because it's like, what did you talk about for
Right.
5 hours? Did you even get like, or maybe he gave her dreams
Well,
of,
I mean, I don't want to talk about hypothetics. I
but
really don't know.
clearly they didn't discuss what they wanted as far as their interaction
Or
with
their
each other.
intentions, or what their
Mm-hmm.
intentions were,
Yeah.
because then we go to next. You'll see what the intentions were following
I
next.
oh, one quick thought I did want to say is I am curious because she said I told my friend that I find him attractive. So technically she made the first move.
I guess, yeah.
But that makes a world of difference in my opinion, because usually when a man is interested in a woman, which you would want, regardless if her friend is around, and especially if her friend is a friend of his, and if he was interested, he should have approached her first. I think that would have made I think that would have made the interaction too maybe a little more like, he was the one interested, because sometimes women, when we decide to step out of the box and make the first move, not saying anything is wrong with that, especially in these times, you kind of got to do that, I guess, if a guy is kind of shy or whatever the case may be. But if you choose to step out of the box and make the first move, you kind of really then have to really pay attention to whether or not this guy is really interested in you and his intentions, because he wasn't the one that intended the interaction first.
Or initiated
And
the
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Some guys are shy, so they're not going to make that first move.
Right.
Or
That,
either
yeah.
some guys already are occupied, meaning that they are already doing these type of things with other women.
Right.
So
But that's what I'm saying. You kind of can protect yourself a little more if you don't, Sorry.
I mean, but you really don't know unless you take a chance.
Yeah.
And then ask the right questions during your 5-hour date.
That's an interesting question for the audience. Women, have y'all had great success being the ones who initiate the interactions with the men, or are you one that's rather wait? I like when we met, you did all that, and you initiated all of that, so it was a lot easier for me to see, oh, he's interested, you feel comfortable with it, and you kind of can see that, oh, we can have more conversations and figure out where it's going. I'm just curious. Yep. Anyways, so after they spent 5 hours talking, they had a late night snack. You want to hold it?
Let me see. No, I just wanted to see if this scrolls. Yep, there we go. Yeah.
So
okay. So that was the next day.
No, that was the first day. And
the next day we met together with our mutual friend to see a movie, and then they went home and had sex. So that quickly, the following day, they went and had sex.
That means it probably would have happened that night.
Before sleeping, he was very keen to talk. But the thing is this, like they didn't establish an intention on, making this relationship work. So that now that we've read the end of this and we know that he had no intention on talking to her because it was long distance. So now with that being held in mind, you see what he did here is that the following day he made it a mission to sleep with her. And then she
quickly.
Right. She went home with him, and then they kissed and slept together. So next, that's a red flag.
Yeah, it wouldn't really, especially again, I would have tried maybe to go for another 5-hour conversation, maybe getting a little deeper on the topic.
Well, I mean,
versus like just hopping into.
Well, you need to know, right? You need to understand what the mindset is here. Is this just casual? Yeah. This would have prevented all of that had those questions been asked. Is this all that we're going to be? And there's nothing wrong trying to figure all of that out. I mean, I understand that was day number 2, but you have to understand the mindset of who you're dating to make sure that you both are aligned as far as believing in marriage. Have that discussion early. The first day, hey, the woman should have asked, hey, do you, if you're not married, do you plan on being married one day? At least know that part.
Yes. And the reason why I scrolled back is because I didn't want to forget that thought, because I was listening to what you were saying. But the simple fact of, yes, she should have brought that up and established her own intentions of whether this was going to be I like this guy. Do I want to sleep with him fly by night because I'm just visiting my friend? Or is this something that I'm actually trying to have a relationship with? I don't even think that she thought that far into what she wanted. When telling her friend, oh, I think he's attractive. And that also too is kind of a mistake on the woman's part, because especially if you are going to make the first move, why are you making the first move? What is it that you are looking for to get from this man? And then your whole focus would have been trying to kind of figure out whether or not he was going to offer you what you wanted. And that whole 5 hours of talking or in the movie or whatever, I'm sure all of that was just filled with having a good time, because that seems like all she intended to.
To throw in here, I think it's very valuable to timeline certain
Mhm.
things, including sex, when you first meet somebody.
Yeah.
If your intentions are to keep the person that you're dating, from what I understand and what I know, it's best to hold sex off until about a month
Mhm.
or two,
Yeah.
because that increases the chance and understanding what the intentions are here. Now, I'm not here to just have casual sex with you.
Right.
Like this just happened. This happened on day 2. They don't
Right.
even know each other from a can of paint, to
Might
be
not
honest.
even been 24 hours for real, because she said
Right. It's just the next day. I mean, you met this guy
Yeah.
probably at 6 o'clock, and then you had sex with him 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So she probably didn't make it till 24 hours, barely.
Yeah, but
But
not even to down talk that. Like, you can make your own choice and decision if that's what you want to do.
right, but
like you're
the
saying.
tip here is women don't, holding out for sex. Understand this: if you're looking for a husband and you don't want to get your heart broken,
Yeah.
don't be so easy when it
Yeah.
comes to sex. Guys know that if you're an easy pick, more than likely we're not going to pick you.
Yeah.
Because that means that who else have you done this with? How often have you done this? Like, why don't you? What are your standards when it comes to sex? Women, women, have you all thought about what your standards are? How consistent are those standards when it comes to sex?
Yeah.
Because that prevents your heart being broken, and then now you hate all men because of a bad situation like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, you were done.
Because we did talk about that
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of dating, and it's normal to wait 2 to 3 months before you have sex with the person that you're dating.
Yeah. Or at least a month. But in particular, my whole thing is establish for yourself what
your
you want.
standards,
Yeah, and what it
and
is.
be
Yeah.
consistent to those standards too. Hold
Yeah.
yourself up to those standards.
Yeah.
Now,
if this is gonna be a booty call, your heart wouldn't have been so in it, because you would have said, "Oh, this is just gonna be a booty call. It is what it is." But if you wanted this to be something, that established that, and then set in the precedent for it to take place, the standard, like my husband
right,
was
and
saying.
don't have fear. You see, I
Yeah.
think fear probably kept her from talking about her intentions of marriage,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that she was going to scare this guy off,
Mm-hmm.
scare his ass off. Because
Yeah.
the thing is this: that his intentions wasn't to be with you in the first place. His intentions were to try to figure out how I'm gonna sleep with her, then how I'm gonna get rid of her.
Right.
But still, let me reserve myself as being a nice guy to her, because
Yeah.
maybe we could do this again next year or something, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That's just that's the psyche of a player. That's how players play. So let's continue. Where we at now?
Yeah.
So we're talking about the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then
So before, what they said, they talked about before they sleeping, he was very keen to talk about. I did want to, because we hadn't talked about that, but what we would do now and whether we would visit each other soon. I think it's very convenient that he would put in her mind at that moment, to where you're trying to get her even more comfortable to have sex with you. Like, oh, I want to see you again. Don't worry about that. Come on and just have sex with me now. Of course I want to see you again. Y'all should have had that conversation after the sex. You know what I mean? Or if he was really, like, if there was any time to have that conversation, certainly it just seemed like convenient on his part to just say, hey, when we gonna do this again? Like, I hope we can do this again, so you can feel like, oh, let me go ahead and give it to him now, because he's talking about he want to see me again. It's just like running that quick game on you. But it's quite interesting and unfortunate in a way, because you want to think that, hey,
It's something long term.
yes, and he wants to have good intentions behind it. But then again, it goes right back to the fact of you have to have that conversation first.
Not only that, but look how creative he was.
Yeah.
He had that conversation to not piss her off, and so that because he's still going to be there the following day. That's the reason why he did that. That was the game plan behind it. Well, let me talk about seeing her again after we've had sex, so that I'm gonna
this
be
was
here.
before. They talked about this before, but yeah.
No, that was before sleeping. Before sleeping, that was after they had sex.
Okay, probably like okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, but then that makes more sense because I thought like the whole sleeping together part hadn't take place yet, but I get what you're saying.
That
new
was
perspective.
after they
Okay.
had sex before they went to sleep.
Okay, yeah. Well, then like you're saying, that makes sense.
They're already high on dopamine and things, so he took advantage of the situation and said that, wow, we need to do this again some other weekend.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So now she's all in the clouds. She's in the clouds, and he's finessing her.
Yep. And another problem right here is where she says, I told him I hadn't thought so far, but that would be nice.
Right. So evidently in that first conversation, they had no talks about intentions of marriage.
Yeah.
At all.
Well,
because she would have thought that far.
Yeah, even still for herself. I keep going back to the very thought of, as much as we want to say, oh, the guy's intentions be messed up, but did the woman establish the intentions in her mind first as well?
Right.
To then create the environment for that to take place.
Right. So young ladies or women, so you all see here how not having any intentions or dating standards, better yet understanding the intention on getting married can end up getting used and abused and end up hating men because you, like my wife said, you didn't establish standards for yourself. And go back a couple videos that we've done, we've mapped out those standards for dating and how long you should wait for what, how long you should wait to sleep with someone, how long you should wait to move in with someone, how long you should wait before you all get married, those type of things. But she messed the whole process up by sleeping with this guy too early. There is a such thing about that because, like I said, there's a very rare chance that you meet somebody one day, the next day you sleep with them, and then you're married to them for the rest of your life. Very slim chance. Very slim.
Yeah, unless again y'all had that 5-hour conversation about, I intend to marry you, I love this whole idea, I'm excited. Y'all had that whole conversation for that 5 hours.
Right.
And especially too, still with yourself. I don't even think maybe the sex was what totally messed it up too much, but I think if she had that thought
or
first,
conversation,
it wouldn't have gotten that far.
That's what messed all of this up.
Yeah, not even having that conversation because it wouldn't have even gotten that far. You would have ran them off, like you were saying.
Right, like I said, and then that's okay.
Yeah,
because
that's what you want.
Right, but she was caught up in his
attractiveness,
his charisma.
Yep.
And his attractiveness, and that's what she wanted because she said that I'm attracted to him.
Yeah.
She got caught in the physical, and ignored everything else.
Yeah.
And ignored everything else about her mental well-being and her standards.
Yeah, and what she wanted out of a relationship.
Right.
If you see a man and he is attractive and you're wanting to take that opportunity to say, hey, I'm single, are you single, what's up? After that, what's up? Try to figure out what are your intentions in life and goals and right now and relationships.
Are you interested in marriage?
Yes. Is that something you're looking for? And then if this beautiful, attractive person says, not right now, you have to tell that beautiful, attractive person, very nice to meet you, and keep it moving. Because that is still what glitters is not always gold.
Because you want somebody to be real with you and say that, I am out here looking for a wife.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a woman that can do this, this, and this for me. Be kind to me, can be a helpmate to me, and support me and help me further my career by being my helpmate and raise my kids.
Yeah.
and then see what comes after that. I think that more marriages will happen if conversations in dating took place like that. To be honest with you,
Yeah, with
they
the
had
conversation
they
first.
had
Yeah.
what I call those fluff talks or fluff
Yeah.
conversation about what's your favorite color, what's your dream car, what do you like to eat, what music do you listen to,
Your
all of that
favorite
stuff.
movie.
This is 2023,
Yep.
guys and girls. We need to be talking about more important topics,
Mm-hmm.
more important topics that will drive us towards marriage.
Yes.
Isn't that the whole reason why we're dating? Isn't that the whole reason why people date? Is that hopefully they can find a wife or a husband in order to get married and
And
have
start a
children.
family and a legacy.
Right.
What else do you work so hard if you're not going to have a family that's going to really benefit from it? Because in the end, I mean, you can work hard all you want to, but
Right.
it dies right along with you if you don't establish roots here.
Right. Because she self-sabotaged herself.
Yeah.
And you can't have any, sympathy for this lady, for this woman. And
I mean, I kind of do, and only because you know me, but I feel for the fact that she didn't think for what she wanted within the interaction. Because the way I look at things is, if you see something that you like, always have the thought to yourself, what am I going to do with this when I get it? You know what I mean?
Well,
because if not, then if you don't know what to do with it, then you going.
I mean, but in this case, like, yeah, but in this
and
case,
that can go both ways, man or woman.
But in this case, a 30-some-year-old woman, should know what she wants.
That is true. But then I guess that's where my sympathy comes in, because I understand that so many of us did not have that parental guidance or that relationship guidance or that person to talk to that helped them. And that's pretty much why Blueprint Family Jewels was started, to be able to have these conversations and these talks, so that if somebody comes across a video and it hits home for you, it's great, because it'll help you out if you don't have anybody else.
Yeah, okay. I mean, then I sympathize with her on the fact that she made out, she probably did this 5 times or 10 times in her life, and she still don't understand why.
Yeah.
But my goodness.
Still, if you do something, what they say, if you do something
twice. So if you do it, if it's done to me once, shame on you. Done to me twice, shame on me. So the thing is like, you didn't learn from your first situation. Maybe, I don't know if you ever had this type of, maybe this was her first interaction with a man.
Yeah.
Then I sympathize with you if this was the case, that this man played you and then you just could not tell at all.
Yeah.
By asking the right questions.
Because he got good game. I ain't gonna front. He got good game. Like, because it seems like he always does this. And that's the part I guess I sympathize with.
Because men will game you, and they will do the same thing that they did to other girls. Give you the same lines, and they will be honest with you.
Maybe even take you to the same places.
Right.
The same places.
Especially if the waiters know their name and their favorite seat.
And, we're heading into that, because she says the next morning we had a long breakfast and talked about mutual, things. So he obviously knew the spots. Like, they had a great,
He walked me to my friend's house as I had to get my flight. When he said goodbye, I said it would be nice to see him again. And he texted me some days after. Okay. So now he's showing up. He's texting her. He's still talking to her.
But I did want to quickly finish our simple thought that we were saying. Just the simple fact that, he is familiar with the New York area. And so she was, or wherever they were at, I don't know, wherever they were at area. But she is familiar with that. Oh, he is. So it's easy for him to kind of give her his routine of what he does. Especially considering.
Yeah, if he is doing that.
Yeah, especially considering if.
But you don't even have to do that much. You don't even have to really do that in this case and situation, because she can't recognize a player. Pretty much, she can't recognize when she's being game and being finessed. So go ahead. What's next? Yep. If you don't mind.
So. Text me about finding a date and when he could visit. So he came to visit me 2.5 weeks later for 3 days. So that's quite interesting. The fact that they did keep in contact and saw each other again after. Well, do you call that the sex dopamine or what? Like, obviously they had a great time. And so maybe he was still interested. But it's like, it was that just another opportunity to take advantage of having sex with her because he,
Well, I mean, let's continue to. We could talk about that until we
okay,
finish breaking down, because right now we can only draw assumptions
yeah,
as if we don't know yet, because we read it once, but we're just going through it again to recognize
the
the
flags.
flags.
Well, in this interaction that they had for 3 days, they went cycling, sightseeing, swimming. They talked, had a great day trip. So they had a great time and it felt really good. He also did nice arm gestures, putting them around him. They had tickle fights. So it seems like they were comfortable with each other and talking. Of course, y'all had already had sex. So that opens
Oh
the
yeah, that makes it
comfortability
even
up.
more
Yeah.
comfortable
Yep.
to do things like that.
Yep. And that's the part too where it makes it kind of a little scary for her in a way, because she's already vulnerable to him. They've had sex, and it kind of it makes me wonder again, where would what were the conversations like? Was the level of vulnerability that you shared with him with your body, did you also share that level of vulnerability with him emotionally? Because intimacy plays both parts. So as much as the physical, and then I think the next part they didn't, right?
Because
and I
all
think
they did was play. I mean, like she was saying,
right,
the stuff they were doing.
Yep. And then
like
right
tickling,
here,
fighting,
yep.
and then
yeah,
playing.
all the physical. Yep. So y'all had all the physical down, but then you come here. We did have a small problem. I got sad and told him, because sometimes when he asked me about myself, he didn't listen properly. So that part right there shows me that y'all didn't get as deep into the emotional intimacy part that matters just as much as the physical intimacy part. We talked about, go back into our live streams, we've talked about the different levels of intimacy that a relationship needs to have. So if you're really trying to establish your relationship with somebody, especially after you guys have still been talking, it's 3.5 weeks later, it's been about a month now that you guys are really getting to know each other. The level of conversations that you all are having should have progressed just as deep as the physical intimacy has progressed. You seem y'all are giving each other massages and showing physical displays of not physical displays, but public displays of affection, and doing all these other great physical intimacy parts. But what were your conversations like? Did you ask him vulnerable questions of, hey, how was your childhood? We talked about the questions of when you're trying to dig a little deeper into somebody. Y'all have been about a month, the phone conversations too. So did you talk about childhood? Did you talk about what he thought he would like his future life to look? Kids, family, having a wife, of course. All of these things should have been talked about, and that would have given you more of a understanding of him. And also you would have been able to see, hey, is he interested in me like I'm as much as he's interested in my body? Because the simple fact that you're saying he didn't seem to listen properly and had a habit of speaking his mind before I could finish my thoughts, or interpret the things I was disclosing to him rather than asking deeper into me. That is the next level of intimacy you need to be paying attention to if you have already crossed that level of physical intimacy. Because if it's not going any deeper, it's probably going to fade away.
Right. I mean, more than likely he's gaming you, because he's still interested more so in his needs and wants.
And your body.
Right. And he's not really interested in your needs and wants. Pretty much, because that's what's going on here. And women may say, well, men don't listen anyway, but that ain't true, because if he had every intention of wanting to keep her or have her be kept, then he would try, like my wife said, try to
get to know you.
Yeah, get to know her on a deeper level. What intentions do you have on this? Where we're going next with this? And try to reassure her on that, because they only known each other here for 2 weeks.
No, now at this
it's
point,
2 weeks.
it's
2 weeks.
No, it is two
and a
and a
half
half
weeks.
weeks later. Okay.
Yeah.
So he came to visit me 2.5 weeks later. So they knew each other for now. Oh, so this is, I'm sorry. So I was thinking 3 days later for 3 days. I'm sorry. I mixed my numbers up. But yeah. So 2.5 weeks. So it's still going on for a month. That's plenty. And you've already had sex with him.
Honey, 2.5 weeks.
It's still going on a month. It's 2.5 weeks later because the last day, at least the week before, they was together. And then 2.5 weeks later, they were together again. So it's at least the end of the month by this time.
I mean, kind of close to, I guess. Okay.
It's closer to a month than not a month. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even still, in my opinion, you gave him your body. It's now time to move to the next level of intimacy, which is that mind, that friendship, especially if you already jump shipped on the body so quick. You have got to pick up the speed when it comes to the other stages of intimacy that's super important for a relationship to develop. Because if not, stuff like this happens.
Right. And then let's go back to value. So women, men find your value in your looks, in your body, in your sexual and in your displays of sexuality.
Yeah.
She gave her money up early. Pretty much. She gave her value up early in this relationship without even inspiring him in thought or having any intellectual type things that were going on that may trigger him to want to say that, man, you know what? She's very interesting.
Yeah.
And she never got him to the point to where he's feeling that he can't go on without her.
Right.
Or you all follow me. So by her just giving up sex so quickly and easily, all of that stuff is out the window. He's not interested in a damn thing she's really saying. He's just trying to figure out, okay, when the next time we having sex, or whatever the case may be,
or how to end it.
Right. Or either how to back out of it. And that is what actually happened. So,
but in particular, when she said that he she could not, he had a habit of speaking before I could finish my thoughts, that is a clear indication that he has checked out. In a way, he's completely checked out because he's not interested in intently finding out more. Right. Intently finding out more. Because, like my husband said, you already did that, part up first. But then again, it also all goes back to the intentions that the whole relationship was established on. In my opinion,
nothing.
Right. It wasn't anything. But in my opinion, anyway, it's risky as a woman to try to make the first move. I don't call it what it is. Maybe the man is shy. In my opinion, you don't want no shy man, truth be told, because you need your man to be assertive.
No,
but
right.
That's just how I feel about it. So it's risky for a woman to put herself in the position of, I'm going to go after this guy and I don't know if he really liked me or not because he didn't make that first move.
Because, I mean, I don't want to, you're an easy target. You're an easy mark. And especially if this, and then don't let this guy be a player. My God. And this is what happened because he will finesse you. Oh, I already got her because she's trying to.
She liked me.
Right.
She hit me up first.
Right. So, I'm about to take it for all it's worth.
That's easy prey. That's like,
right.
I don't even want to bring up no.
But the thing is that if ladies, if you are to do that, make sure the conversation matches the intention.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
And make sure your thought matches why you're doing this, so that then you can know what's my next steps, because that's super important. If as a woman you decide that you're going to go ahead and make the first move, figure out your next 3, 4, 5 moves after that.
I mean,
that way you. I mean,
the questions you need to understand.
Well, that's what I mean by moves.
Right.
Like understand what you're gonna do next. Like say, okay, if I am gonna make my first move, then in a couple of minutes I'm about to ask him this question and see what he says.
Where do you work? How much money do you make? Talk about things. I don't know
if I would ask that fast, but I would certainly say, do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a wife?
No,
do you have
men, but that's how men talk. We talk about jobs. Yeah. We talk about our careers. We talk about our money. We do. A man will disclose that to you, especially if he's proud of it.
Yeah.
Because what you want to do is make sure that he's a provider. You don't want, ladies, you don't want to deal with a man that's not able to provide for you. Yeah. You don't, because that's what happens in That's how men have multiple baby mamas, and women become serial baby mamas because they're not asking the right questions in this case, and then y'all not dealing with the right people. Y'all not picking the
Mhm.
right people to deal with. You need to deal with people who adds value to your life, and that is their intention to do that, to be of service to you, and vice
Yeah.
versa, for you all to be in service to each other.
Yeah.
If you're not picking up on those vibes and all you're getting is that this guy just wants to sleep with me,
Mhm.
or either you yourself find yourself that, oh, I just really want to sleep with this person, then make that your intentions and then be done with it.
Mhm.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But don't think that, oh, I done slept with this guy a one night stand, and
You better
why
marry me.
why he ain't called me back. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you don't have a ring. Oh, he didn't put a ring on my finger, and it's been 3-6 months, and we
Yeah.
still doing this. That's because that's where you at. That's the box that you put yourself in because you gave it up so quick. Don't be surprised by that. I don't know why people get surprised by it. I don't, that's why I was saying at first I don't feel no empathy for her
No,
or
yeah, I get
sympathy,
that.
because she did this to herself.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
But I
totally
understand,
agree.
if ladies,
Yeah.
if you don't have a father around, but a lot of times, really, if you're raised by both parents, you're not getting this type of education that we're giving you all tonight.
Yeah, because you don't talk about sex
Y'all
and
don't
stuff with
talk
your
about sex and stuff with your fathers, and your
relationships.
fathers don't talk about how men will. Now, some will. They will tell you about how men game each other, but that's only as good as the game of the father. If your
Yeah.
father was a player, then he can show you the ways of a player, and
Yeah.
then things that you need to recognize.
And
But if
shout
he
out to the good fathers out there that are doing that. We ain't gonna discredit that.
right,
Shout out to that because that's an awesome thing to have.
right, but if your father, like I said, if your father never was a player, then he can't help you in this situation. He can only support you. He can only support you emotionally and tell you, honey, I'm sorry this happened to you.
Yeah.
Try look out next time. Be careful.
In particular, I think a father would tell you how I just always go back to the point of, if you are going to be the one to make the first move, have your plan and action of what's going to come up next. So, for example, like my husband says, if you ask him, hey, are you where you work at? Like, how's that all work? Try to find other reasons that you find him attractive than just the way the guy looks. If you're going to make the first move and you're going purely off of attraction, then certainly figure out, what does he do for a job? What's his mindset like? Stuff like that. So then not to make yourself an easy target in the
Right.
sense of, oh, I just am showing this guy that I like him and I am just putting myself out there to let him kind of lead the relationship, when in all actuality, if you choose to put yourself out there and make the first move, you need to know your second, your third, and your fourth move, in the sense of the questions that you're asking to figure out, is this person worth me keeping making this move?
Right.
And if it isn't, then step out of that leadership role that you're going to take and fall back, because that's not the one. That's not what you want.
Right, because what this woman did is very common, and that's what the 90% of women do when they find a man that's attractive. They all of their standards just go right out the window.
Yeah.
Or either they never had standards at all.
Yeah.
And that's what women, like I said before, women need to establish those standards and keep the mindset of marriage in your head, and don't give in to lust, because that will keep you from getting your heart broken.
Yep.
And then you can't be mad at nobody else once you know this information that we've given you, but
Yep.
yourself, because you allowed yourself to get gamed.
Yeah.
So,
yep, that is so true.
all right.
Next, so we talked about, and he did admit that maybe he speaks too much, but I could tell maybe this would be a bit of a problem between us. Okay, this right here, when you're in a y'all aren't in a relationship, but when you are in a relationship, try to avoid making assumptions about what would be a problem between you all, and instead have that conversation. So say, hey, seem to have a difference of communication style. This is what day, whatever, that you're trying to get to know each other. Ask him, how do you communicate? How do you what was your communication like growing up? That should have been an opening for understanding. And the only way that you can cultivate understanding when trying to build a relationship is to ask questions. Don't assume. As much as you people may not recognize, this right here is an assumption, and it's a negative assumption towards him, towards you, and towards your relationship of what could have, taken place. But of course, this might have also been your inner instinct saying, "Oh man, I done messed up anyway because this guy, I'm feeling, the fact that this guy probably ain't into me or whatever."
That is it. You hit the nail on the head earlier. He's backing out of all of this.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to sabotage this situation and make he's trying to sabotage and make a getaway.
Yeah. Because she pointed out something, a flaw or something.
Right. Well, now he's going to play on the bad communication stuff.
Yeah.
So that he's full of her right now, and like I said, the long distance thing is not going to work because you know why? He's probably dealing with other women,
right.
wherever he lives at or wherever away from her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why it's nothing. He don't care. Yeah, I probably he said he probably speaks too much, but now she's realizing that. Now she's thinking that, oh, we have a problem between us because he's not communicating properly. It's because he doesn't want to communicate with you.
Right. Because y'all ain't really been communicating from the jump, to be honest.
No,
y'all
they've been communicating, but they haven't been properly
conversations.
They just been having fun.
Discussions.
They've just been having fun with each other, but they're not being serious with each other.
Yeah.
And understand that too, the level of seriousness, it really needs to be very high when you first meet somebody. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying, well, yeah, you need to have these barriers and guards and protect yourself, but you let them down once you know that this person is not a threat to you.
Right.
You don't even know this guy. Damn.
Right.
I mean, now it's 2.5 weeks. You still don't know this guy.
Right. And you still have to ask those questions. That's the only way you know. And in my opinion, all of this should be found out before you decide to have sex with him. If this is something that you're trying to get your heart into, again, if you are okay with this being a booty call or casual relationship, let that be. But also let your feelings be there as well. Don't let your feelings go deep into something where you're feeling a bit sad that he's leaving, but a bit surprised that he hadn't brought anything up. Well, I mean, ma'am, what is there to really bring up at this point? Because your conversations have not still progressed to the point where you are getting deeper. You guys have to understand when as a woman, if you decide to enter that physical connection with a person
so early,
what are you going to do to keep his attention on you after that? And the only thing after that would keep it going is you showing him your wife qualities. Wifeconomics.com is a great source for a woman to find and hone into her own intrinsic value as a wife, really understanding what I have to offer as a wife and knowing how to articulate this to a man who would be marriage ready, marriage minded, and looking for a woman like you. That is super important, because if this was something that you had already had in your mind as being a wife and ready to take on this role, you would have approached the situation as such. You would have figured out from the jump what his intentions were. And maybe, let's say, he gives you all the right answers in a 5-hour conversation and you do still feel comfortable giving him your body. Okay, if you make that decision on your own, make sure that you are also then following up with other things that are going to deepen that connection and deepen that relationship. That is super important. How else is he going to want to, what else is there to look forward to? Y'all haven't even, the last conversation that y'all had, you said, I hadn't even thought that far. I hadn't even thought, where is it at? I hadn't even thought that far. I can't, to me, that
was after they
fathoms
had sex.
Me. Yeah. I hadn't even thought that far, but that would have been nice. So now you see why it's important to think that far. It's super important to think that far, because if you don't, then you're going to get here.
The problem was that the conversation that he was having didn't think that far at all.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about, so when the next time we're going to see each other. That was that conversation. The conversation never was about,
Yeah.
The intention of marriage.
Right. Being a
I know
wife.
we keep
Yep.
trying to beat that up every time, but that's the message that we're trying to get to you all. Stop dealing with people that you don't intend on marrying. Stop it, because you're making a lot of mistakes in society. You having children out of wedlock and having children that
Hurting people
are
hearts.
yeah, but you're having children that are growing up without both of their parents,
Broken homes.
broken homes,
Yeah.
and we all know the statistics of children who are raised that way.
Yep.
Now,
Not to mention the hurt that it causes you
right.
and the
You know,
damage that it does to you. And then you have to go out into society and be a functioning adult with damage. That's not fun. Why do we keep putting ourselves? Why do people keep putting themselves in this? I ain't gonna say we in this because you can't put
people are
yourself
that
up there.
lonely. Because people are that lonely that you all just can't focus on 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 protecting yourselves.
Yeah,
Like, my goodness, like,
you have to. That is super important. But anyways, as we keep going, you were a bit surprised why, I'm not quite sure, that he had brought anything up because he was so keen to talk about it the first time you met him. Well, the first time you met him, the first time you met him, you approached him. I always, and I don't know how much you may have thought about this or women really think about this, but if you want a man that is assertive and wants to be in a relationship with you, the first time that you meet should be in something that he's actively trying to pursue, because then you would really see that keep following up. His active pursuit in you didn't take place until after you guys had sex. So then it makes you wonder, what is his active pursuit of now? It wasn't before you guys had sex. He did not initiate that interaction. That's the slip. And I'm not saying that all relationships end up that way. Maybe you are the one who approaches the shy guy and things turn out great. Beautiful, wonderful. But for the women who aren't too sure if the guy is shy or not, be cautious because, hey, yeah, go ahead.
all right.
He told him it was leaving, and he said it had been a nice weekend and gave it a lot of thought, but all he did was be silent, and she couldn't help but cry a bit.
Because the writing was on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, don't cry.
And how cold I felt he was about the situation. Mm-hmm. And this annoyed him a bit, and he asked me what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to say what? What she just want to say? Keep going. She wanted to hear he said he was sorry, but he doesn't know what else to say. So they fell asleep, and she was sad. Now, this is how it goes, unfortunately, when you don't establish where this interaction is going to go early. Because then you put yourself in a vulnerable situation to where the same guy who didn't approach you was kind of indecisive is now showing you and telling you that he's indecisive on what's going to happen next.
Look at this. Before leaving, I told him I felt that he had not said anything that night before. I felt hurt that he didn't say anything the night before. Mm-hmm. And she means that what's next? Mm-hmm. She was expecting him to say, "Oh, we need to do this again." Mm-hmm. And he said the same thing. So he's trying to play victim too. Like, oh, I'm hurt because we don't know what's going on now. I don't know. So now he said he's hurt also. That's a player move. So he's also trying to draw some sort of sympathy and play victim too. That he's sorry, but he is confused and doesn't know what to say. So now he's confused. What? All right. So it seems as if also too that she wasn't directing her questions as to what the question is. My guess is what we're going to do next. And he didn't want to say anything.
Yes.
And that's why he was silent, because he didn't have any intention to deal with her at all. These are classic signs of a boy. So women also understand the difference between a man and a boy. So she's dealing with a 30-some-year-old boy. Yes, they do exist. And that is what you've lost a lot of time and wasted your time with is a boy and not a man. A man is assertive and he's not confused about what just happened or his intentions on what he wants to do with you. And clearly here he said that he's confused because he never really had any intentions on prolonging this any longer than what this was, 2 to 3 week of rendezvous with her.
And y'all never talked about it. What, you never asked him? I'm pretty sure, I can't say never because we don't know, but you didn't ask him what did he want a relationship? Was he interested in a relationship?
Yeah,
or was he interested in just sex?
All of this is a situationship.
Where nobody's talking. It wasn't the fact that you guys don't know your communication styles. He mentioned before that our communication styles, but dude, you just weren't communicating. You could be talking and not communicating.
They were not direct at all.
To receive understanding.
Right. And
that's important.
They crying again, and he asks her how she feels, and can't see maybe our conversation styles are not a perfect match. No,
y'all just ain't got nothing talking.
To do with. No, it's not that they're not talking. Yeah, but they're not talking about things that matter.
Yeah.
It's not your conversation styles. It's more so you don't even know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
Because evidently she didn't ask him those questions and try to push hard on him to give her an answer. But that because we had been so affectionate with each other. So
no, they had sex. Affection and sex are synonymous, sure, but they are not the same.
Yeah, but
in the sense of they're not just that. Like,
yeah, but I think she's also trying to equate this to love.
Yeah,
and that's not it, honey.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see here that, she has some sort of trauma somewhere. And if not, this situation is definitely giving her trauma, to be honest with you. Yeah. But because we had been so affectionate with each other. No, he was just, you were being used, and you allowed yourself to be used. Because, right, I'm not trying to keep saying this stuff over and over again. That my body felt sad that it would be nice to meet somebody I can love. Exactly. So there it is. I told you. She's trying to equate all of that to what love is. Sex is not love, ladies and gentlemen. It is not. This little date that they went on is not love. It
would be nice to meet somebody that I can love. Did you say this back here
in the beginning?
You first met him. I find him attractive. That, when you said I find him attractive, that should have been the very next question then to him. Are you interested in being in a relationship? I am interested in finding someone I could love.
Right. And the thing is this, and I know they didn't talk about that because this letter would have been written different.
Yep.
She would have been calling this man a liar.
Yep.
The whole way through, mad and angry. Yep. But now she's sad. And realistically, she's more so sad because she got played.
Yep. And then he got tender and gave him a hug and said that she's a good person.
Right. And that's just the fact that he's probably a good person too. Or he's trying to portray to you that he's a good guy too. Don't put me in this bad person box.
Yeah. Or more so, he didn't intend on doing this. He didn't approach her.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, in the sense of he didn't approach her first with intentions of in his mind of, I'm about to go get this girl right here. That's not how it happened.
Go get her? What do you mean by go get her?
In the sense of when they met first on the street with their friend, he didn't in his mind say, I'm going to approach this girl right here and do whatever. What happened was she ended up making the first move and falling in his lap, and he took advantage of the situation. So sure, he probably is a good man in the sense of a good boy, in the sense of he didn't actively seek out to take advantage of her. But when the opportunity presented himself to take advantage of a person, a woman, he did. So that is where it can it gets to the point where I see why he, felt bad, because he probably didn't want to hurt her.
He didn't feel bad. This is what players do. They do this stuff all the time. They do this all the time. So then he's going to draw back, give her hugs, and it'd be like, oh, we so sad. I'm sad with you too, and whatever the case may be.
And he
And
left
then
her a note telling her lots of positive
things. Yes, because he doesn't. Now he's caring about. Now he's trying to play the nice boy, the
fix
good
his
boy.
Karma.
Right? Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. And even that it felt right, even that it had felt right, and that he had been comfortable in my company, but that he cannot deal with the distance between our lives. That's BS, and can't see it going beyond this weekend.
Why wasn't that brought up
she said
in
that
the first 5 hours?
Yeah, but she said that in the end. She said that he said that maybe we will feel differently after a couple of days, but this is
that's just wish-washy.
Yeah, he's just trying to make her feel better about herself and hope she doesn't cry every night.
Right.
So
my thoughts was, why didn't he tell me this before you came? Because you didn't ask.
And then, to be honest with you,
didn't ask.
He planned this. The intent, those were his intentions from the beginning.
The second time, not the first time. I don't think the first time it was.
You hit it right on the head when she started pursuing him.
Yeah.
Then he knew what game to play.
Oh yeah.
And so it's game on. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this like this.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do this like this. And then, okay, I'm going to try to prolong this a little bit. But now my pockets are getting thin because this damn long distance relationship calls.
I can't keep doing this area of the week.
No, I'm serious though.
Well, yeah,
right. That's what's going on here. And then now I need to bring this up now. You live too far away. I'm hoping that maybe, something might happen one day and maybe we can get closer together, but I don't know. So I'm guessing that he knew the distance. Yeah, of course he did. Honey, you ain't have to guess that. Knew how long we would take to travel to see me, etc.
But why didn't y'all talk about this? And he suggested to visit me in the first place. Okay, if ma'am, he did suggest to visit you, that opens the door for the intentions of, sure, to have sex, but that opens the door for the intentions of her saying, why do you want to come visit me? Do you know what it costs to be in a long distance relationship? Are you up to having a long distance relationship?
Right.
Are you aware of how far I am to travel? Are you willing to consistently travel this far to see me more than once? Or will this just be a one-time thing? All of those questions would have given you,
they were asked rather. They
way before you allowed this man to come see you. If you feel comfortable enough to give a man your body, please feel comfortable enough to ask him any question you need to help ease your heart and mind.
Specifically those questions. Ask those questions.
Yes.
Because evidently this woman, there's millions of women who do this.
Yes.
Who do what she just did and just hope and pray.
Yeah.
No, you all have control of your lives. You all have control of your circumstances and your situations. You all have control to ask the right questions so that you don't end up being gamed.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you get gamed, you get trauma, and then you just start hating men.
Yes.
Because you allow this type of stuff to happen to you.
Because you guessing. Stop guessing.
Be responsible. Be responsible for your own irresponsibilities. Mm-hmm. Don't make someone else responsible for your irresponsibilities. She was irresponsible because she didn't ask the right question.
Yep, and she left it up to guesstimates. I'ma just guess.
She left it up to faith. That's what she did. Hope. She left it up to hope. I'm hoping this man is going to stick around.
She says, I feel like that if he had been open to me about this before he came, I could have made an informed decision about whether or not I want to.
No. But then she's trying to deflect.
Put it on him.
On him.
Yeah. Oh, he won't honest from the beginning, baby, because you didn't ask.
She should have said that. I should have been more open about this in the beginning.
I should have asked more questions so that I could have made an informed choice on whether he wanted to come visit me
or
in the
sleep
first
with him
place.
the next day.
Yes, take responsibility for your ability to see a situation and to make informed choices on your own by gathering your own research, by asking questions. Ask questions on your own. You have to do this. That is so important. So important. How much to open up and let him in.
Heartbreak. To avoid heartbreak.
Nobody can give you this stuff if you don't ask. If you don't ask him these questions, he's not going to just come out and
Any
tell you
thoughts? Yep. So that's my thought. My
this.
answer is that you, like my wife said, you acted irresponsibly because you did not ask the right questions. And then you allowed this to happen to yourself. You sold yourself out. You sold yourself short in this whole situation that you did. This man saw you as easy prey and he took advantage of you.
Yeah.
You allowed him to take advantage of you. And because you've done so, now you will try, you both, you at the end wanted to hear him say that I want to be with you and I want this to be a long-term situation, even though it's long distance. Let's have a long distance relationship up until marriage. Hell, let's have a long distance marriage. That's what you wanted to hear, something of that sort. But let this be a lesson to everyone that's out there, women, and especially the women. If you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right results. Don't act or come into relationships with fear and letting fear prevent you from getting direct answers that you need to know, so that you don't waste your body, you don't waste your time, you don't waste your money on dates and things with people who aren't marriage fit or have any intention on being married to you, or can one also be a provider for you, because that has a lot to do with marriage and raising children. So stop sleeping with people that don't fit those criteria. Stop sleeping with people who can't provide for you. Stop sleeping with people who don't have intentions of marrying you.
Yeah.
Please. And
And
vice versa for the men too. Men, stop sleeping with women who you don't who you can't see yourself marrying.
me in particular, stop guessing in your relationships. Friend, if you are in a relationship or you are pursuing somebody, if you feel a question coming up that you don't know the answer
Ask
to,
that damn question.
ask the question. If this person does not give you an answer that aligns up with
Then
something
leave
that you're
they
looking
ass.
for, right? And even if they can't even answer the question, that is your answer, and you no longer have to guess. And then you no longer have to put yourself in heartbreaking situations. It's not that he's breaking your heart. He didn't do that. You, in a way, handed him your heart to break when you did not ask the questions that would have allowed you to protect yourself. You need to know whether or not this is going to go anywhere, and if it is a safe space for you to continue pursuing it before you get your heart broken.
Right.
Before you end up in situations like this where you're sitting back saying, why he ain't tell me this? You got to ask.
No, you need to ask why I didn't ask.
Why exactly? Those are the questions.
Right.
Those are the
Be
questions.
accountable.
Yes.
Women that fall into these traps and these situations and get played by classic players,
Yeah.
they always try to blame those men for these things that happened to them. In all actuality, they did these things to themselves.
Yeah.
Hold accountability. You should have said that I let myself down this time, but I've learned my lesson and I'm not doing this anymore.
Right. It is your job to get the information you need so that you can make an informed choice. This whole idea that somebody has to give you the choice to make or give you the information so that you can make that choice is it's fallacy. You have to be the one to go out and gather as much information as you possibly can. And in particular, when you're in a relationship or dating, your information is going to come from this person. So you have to ask all the questions that you possibly can, all the right questions, all the direct questions, all the questions that give you this feeling in your stomach.
Do you want to get married one day?
Yeah, what are your intentions?
What are your intentions of marriage?
You look attractive, but hey,
what type of job do you
work? What's your mindset like?
How much money do you make?
Are you interested in the family?
Do you own a home? What type of car do you drive?
In particular, with this long distance relationship that you're considering, are you interested in a long distance relationship? Are you mature enough to handle a long distance relationship? Have you ever even had a long distance relationship? Gotta ask these questions before you get yourself into the situation. You gotta analyze and figure out, what would this look like? You knew that this man lived elsewhere, and you also were the one to approach him. So that also means that his intentions right off bat weren't you right away. your intentions were him. So if your intentions are him, then you then have to continue to figure out whether or not this is something that you need to be doing. It's not up to him to give you that information to figure out. You were the one who intended on figuring out when you said, hey, he is attractive. Set us up on a date. That means that next step, when you made that first move of trying to initiate this whole thing, your next step should have been, let me ask these questions to figure out if this is something that's even worth my time before I decide to get deeper and involve my body in this. 5 hours worth of talking should have certainly gotten you all the information you needed to know if you was asking the right questions.
Right. Yeah. But evidently that didn't eat that those 5 hours. He basically talked her out of her drawers. That's all that was about. It wasn't even about anything serious.
And it all began with just the simple fact that you just found him attractive.
Yep.
Which is fine. Of course, all people that we're physical beings. We see a person, we think they're attractive. But the next responsible thing in order to protect yourself from yourself, because what it is them little tingly hormones that you're getting and those butterfliesy feelings of, oh, this man look good, or oh, this woman look good, I wonder what this could be. All of that could get you hurt, because it doesn't help you make the next logical decisions of figuring out whether or not this is actually good for me. Is this really gold, or is this just some shiny fool's gold?
Right. Women, think with logic. Please think with logic instead of those attractive emotions.
You have to, especially now, as much as men
but
want to point out that they think with logic.
Right. But a lot of people
play that game.
Yeah, but when it comes to, the opposite sex, a lot of times women throw that out the window because they don't even know, like we already said, that she didn't even know what questions to ask this guy to make this a long-term relationship.
Right.
Or to figure out what his intentions were to deal with her.
We've all gone through it. This is a great one. This is a good question. And this is important to have this conversation for those who get themselves in situations like this, or seen yourself in situations like this, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're just, you don't know what to do. This is a great This was a great conversation for that. So
right. Classic situation. If you know anybody who's this has ever happened to, please share this video with them. If you know people who are young and who are dating, men and boys and girls who are dating, give them this video so they understand what being played looks like and how to prevent themselves from getting played. Because I'm serious, because this is a very serious thing here, so that they won't from an early age start saying that men ain't, I can't stand these men, or boys saying that women ain't worth a damn. Or what have you.
Well, that's
because
not the case.
That ain't the case. That's not the case at all. We're dating wrong. This was a classic example of dating wrong and what not to do.
Yeah.
In order to get the outcomes that you're looking for. She didn't minimize her risks by asking the right questions.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she increased her risks, and got her heart broke because she did not do those things. She did not ask the right questions. So please share this video. Any family members, friends who are currently dating and can't find anybody, because this possibly is the reason why they can't, is because they're not asking the right questions. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And then so they open themselves up to get played over and over again, and they think it's the other person, and all actuality is you. So with that being said, you all have a wonderful night, Blueprint family. Until next time, peace.